Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. And let's take a moment of silence to remember those who have suffered in recent weeks and continue to suffer because of acts of their fellow man. Let's take a moment. Thank you very much. We'll officially call the meeting to order and welcome all of you. Let's see. We have a lot of the regulars that made it. We have a lot of the regulars that didn't make it. I'm sure they'll be swimming in a few minutes. Let's stand and pledge allegiance to the flag to my right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Number 4 on the agenda, consideration of agenda approval. Is there a motion?
I move that we eliminate item number 7 and replace it with in the same place with a motion, or with an agenda item called discussion and possible action on the joint amicus brief.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? That's the only change you're proposing. I'm trying to get my water out of my head here. Your motion is to approve the agenda subject to that change, or just that one item?
Mine is the subject to that change.
Okay, is there a second? Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Approval of the agenda as amended, and consideration of 5A, minutes of special meeting of June 9. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. 5A is approved. And 5B, minutes of the regular meeting of June 21. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion, second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. It's unanimous, Madam Clerk. Number 6, public comments on agenda items.
And number 7. Yeah, and we can leave number 7, same subject matter.
So you want to let
We
Mr.
can-
Morrow speak?
Oh, yeah, because it's the same subject matter.
All right, Mr. Tony Moritz.
3 minutes. You got the clock?
I'm Tony Norwich, 118 Frigate. I'd like to talk to you about item 7, the lawsuit involving Emerald Isle. I'm going to talk to you from 2 different points of view, so hopefully if I run over, I get 2 sets of time. The first one is a owner who does not own beachfront property, but owns property off of the beach. If Emerald Isle loses this suit, the beachfront property will go up astronomically in price, but the people off the beach, their values in the house are gonna be just destroyed, because nobody wants to come to the beach and stay if they gotta stay on wet sand all the time. It's just gonna be destroyed. And then those people who have beachfront houses, the taxes on you are gonna have to go way up, because we're not gonna have the tourists providing. The second thing I wanna make is, as most of you know, I'm president of Turtle Patrol. If Emerald Isle loses this suit, we are basically out of business. Turtles do not lay eggs in wet sand, and owners could keep us from going on the dry sand. It's such a monumental point. I think it strongly behooves us, meaning everybody in Holden Beach, to do everything we can to make sure that Emerald Isle wins this suit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morowitz. Ms. Regina Martin, item number 9.
I was very happy to see this brought up as an item on the agenda, and I would just like to encourage the commissioners to support the elimination of the rollout. The reason recycling, at the time it was placed there many years ago, was a great idea. But it is sort of outlived its usefulness, I believe. I don't believe it belongs in our park for sure. Perhaps it might belong somewhere else, I'm not real sure on that. But I just believe it's outlived its usefulness. I have watched construction workers both drive across the bridge to dump debris, or drive up the boulevard to drop debris. You pass by there and you've got a mattress, a TV, all different types, and you never know from day to day what exactly might be sitting over there. And it costs extra to have all those items hauled away as well. So given the fact that we just had a rather substantial tax increase, I believe it would behoove us to look into ways to eliminate costs, and I believe that would be one item that probably falls into this $70,000 to $80,000 range that could go to the wayside and no one would really miss it. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Number 7. I would say I was disappointed that we didn't have an opportunity to hear from our speakers as proposed by me in trying to get on the agenda. But I'm glad also to see you substitute that with consideration of moving forward as we are the only town along the coast of North Carolina that's not supporting it. We had an opportunity before. My understanding is we didn't, and some towns are giving money and some towns are not, but all towns are giving their support. So I was very happy to hear you put that on the agenda, and I believe you have the floor there, Mr. John.
Yeah, I just want to make clear why I didn't vote last time. We didn't have much notice of the background of this, and we got a lawsuit that was pretty complex. And I had time to read it, but not really understand it fully, and I went for legal advice. And at the time, I was told by a couple of attorneys that we probably should not get involved in it. Since then, I've had further advice, further study from it, and my view has changed in that matter, and I'll look forward to hearing what the rest of the commissioners think about that.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to put some thoughts down on it, and I'd like to address it. I believe the Board of Commissioners in the town and other oceanfront towns and counties have a special responsibility to promote and defend the well-established traditions of beach access to the enjoyment of our wet and dry sand. Further believe that the town of Holden Beach and other oceanfront towns in North Carolina have an obligation to carefully balance the traditional rights of public access and the littoral rights of property owners. So therefore, I make a motion that the Board of Commissioners endorses and joins in the amicus brief of the Department of Environmental Quality as submitted to the Supreme Court, which expresses support for the well-established traditional right of public access to and the enjoyment of wet and dry ocean beaches of the coast of North Carolina. However, in so endorsing and joining in the amicus brief, the town is concerned about the legality, or I am concerned about the legality of the terms of the specific ordinances at issue in the specific ordinances, and reaffirms that it takes no position the legality of
Let me
saying.
interrupt just a minute. We've got a problem. You made a motion, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we need to vote on that a second. You can't support and discuss your motion until we have a second. You gotta get on the
But
table.
if you make the motion,
You're making the motion,
somebody will second it, and then we discuss it.
that's correct, but you
Yeah.
can't put commentary on and on and on. Madam Attorney, is that right?
Correct.
So,
So,
I'm not fussing at you,
Okay.
I'm just trying to help you.
That's fine.
make the motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the motion made well enough, or
Well, would you restate
tell us
your
when you
motion
cut
in
off
a
it?
short
So-
Tell us when
version?
you cut off the motion.
I would very much like my second part included in the motion. I don't, in joining the amicus brief, I do not want our endorsement to endorse the specific ordinance that are within that are specific to Emerald Isle.
Your support, you're joining in the amicus brief position, the legal arguments that they are
You mean
putting
Emerald?
forward in defense of the appeal. So, they are attempting to defend, or they are getting briefs in support of their position, which is that their ordinances are enforceable and that the dry sand beach should be subject to public trust rights. So, by signing on as a supporter of the position of public trust rights, which is a well-established right in the state of North Carolina, which includes the wet and dry sand beach, I don't think that that would be perceived as endorsing their specific ordinance, because it's not the town's ordinances. The town's ordinances are very different. Your code of ordinances is the town's code of ordinances.
Okay.
Town
That,
manager
that,
disagree.
that's my, because they have ordinance of driving on the beach,
Yes.
which I don't think that we want to endorse.
No, that is a
And
specific
endorse.
ordinance that they have that
Okay.
allows for the driving on the beach, but the town does not have that ordinance.
Okay, and it's part of their,
It's part of the litigation.
Of the
that is
litigation.
ensued. Yes, sir.
that's one going.
Well,
Okay,
So make your motion.
so that's, so if that's implied, then I'm just, make motion of that we endorse and joins in the amicus brief of the Department of Environmental Quality as submitted in the Supreme Court. Thank
I second the motion.
now we can discuss. Now you can read it.
Do you have any more?
I
to
already,
add?
I already, that was my, that was.
Okay. Anyone
that was-
else?
That was my
Discussion?
issue.
Well, I might be a little slow then. Are we saying, in essence, we support the opinion of the court
You are,
as written in the amicus brief?
no, the court has ruled, there has been an appeal of the court's determination. The law right now is that, the public trust rights are across the dry sand beach. There has been an appeal of that court decision, and so the request has come forward from, Emerald Isle, or I probably just got that wrong.
No,
actually.
you're right.
Sorry, okay, Emerald Isle, too many litigation cases lately. Emerald Isle requesting that all municipalities up and down the coast who are adjacent to the ocean beaches, support the stance that the public has the right to use the dry and wet sand beach. And that is what they are seeking the
Okay.
support of coastal counties and municipalities.
I'm just trying to understand what, I heard the motion, but I'm not sure I understand what we're exactly stating.
A brief is being written. The town will not have active involvement in what the brief says, but the brief will be in support of Emerald Isle's position, which is, that the public has the right to access the wet and dry sand beach.
All right,
And
and
this-
this might be out of order, but, I reviewed our ordinances today with regard to this subject matter, and when I looked at the opinion of the court through this amicus brief, it appeared that we are appropriate in our ordinances because it's viewed as police power, as they refer to it in the brief. So I guess the reason I'm asking the question is, does our position as we are discussing now, is it going to impact the town's ordinances as it currently exists?
And she said no.
It's going to be coastal communities support the public's right of access to the dry and wet sand beach, yes.
But if NICE wins, it sets a precedent that could hurt us
That
in the
is
future.
correct.
Yes, right. Okay.
Yeah, we have already made our position pretty clear in the easement agreement that we've written in terms of the town's view of the wet and dry sand, have we not?
Very, very different subject area.
But we have made our,
Oral rights and public right accesses are absolutely recognized in the state of North Carolina and the easement agreement that we was asking.
My last question. Your motion does not discuss us participating financially.
Correct, it does not.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Mrs. Eisner, do you have any?
I'm ready to support Emerald Isle.
I just have one question. Do we want to support them financially? I'm not saying we need to, I'm just saying, do we want to?
I would think.
The
not.
motion
No,
doesn't
the
include
motion
that.
doesn't include, and the reason I didn't, because we just raised our taxes significantly, for things that pertain to us, and I don't think if we had extra funds, probably, but we absolutely do not, so that's why I didn't include financial support.
Okay.
I would suggest if you wanted to, you can ask for amending the motion.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Any more discussion? You ready to vote?
Good. Yes, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Madam Clerk, it's unanimous. Number 8, Chief, you got a flood report for us?
It's pretty wet out there right now, boss. At least I am, anyway. I don't know about anybody else. Evening, everyone. Well, we've made it through the 4th of July. No houses burned. I don't think fireworks were as bad as maybe they've been in previous years. I could be wrong on that, but I think I'm right. Fortunately, summer in general has been typical, other than no major events. No shark bites, no drownings, nothing that would end us up in the media in a negative way. And anytime we can accomplish that, it's a good thing. Hopefully it'll stay that way until we're done. Having said that, there have been larcenies of coolers, larcenies of flip-flops, and other such things as that. And if you're friends of Holden Beach, you're well aware, because, you know, we've heard a lot about that on Friends of Holden Beach. I don't do the Facebook thing. My wife has my back on that one. She's a Facebook freak. I don't participate, but she keeps me up to speed on things that might tend to bite me at some point down the road. So all that being said, the heroin addict that was stealing the Yeti coolers has been arrested, and we were able to recover some of those coolers. A local heroin addict, I might add, used to live here at Holden Beach, currently living at Sunset Beach. We were not the only ones that had Yeti coolers stolen. It was all of us. But he's been charged with all of them. The flip-flop thing totally amazes me, because I just can't put my finger on what the market would be for used flip-flops. If anybody has an idea, please clue me on that one, and we'll look at it from a different angle. Anyway, concerning those things, I continue to say, don't be a volunteer victim, right? Don't leave items of value in your car, items of value in your storage rooms under your houses unlocked, lock your cars, pay attention if you have stuff on the beach, be mindful of the stuff you have on the beach and where it's at, and keep up with it, and you should be fine. Unfortunately, Brunswick County has a serious drug problem, like lots of other folks do, and they will steal your stuff. Simple as that. And it's mainly at the day tripper locations, Jordan Boulevard, East End, here. Those are the main areas where we've had a problem, but we're aware of it and do all we can to minimize it. Dogs, holes, and cabanas. Okay. So far, and I'm out there 4 days a week. I've had 5 dogs on the beach between 9 and 5. 5. Years previous, I'd have 5.5 miles. So, I don't wanna say it again, but I think the sign is maybe working. I don't think there've been near as many holes, and I don't think Public Works has had near the problems that they previously did with the cabanas. I think they're still getting a few a week, but nothing like it had been. So, God bless the sign. Let's see.
Chief Lane, with respect to the sign,
Yes,
I think we had talked kind of around it last time about perhaps adding to the cycle just a phrase that says, "Welcome to Holden Beach." I think again, over the past month, I heard a lot of positives about the signs, that people were happy that it was there. It was a nice
Right.
reminder, but at the same time, I also heard a lot of people say it was just, you know, no, as you're driving across, and it might be nice if in that cycle somewhere it said, "Welcome to Holden Beach." It's not too difficult.
and like I said last time, we could do that, and that would be fine, but I'm thinking the no is what's working.
Oh, I think so too.
I have a,
And you could put a banner, well, there is a banner on this side of the bridge that says, "Welcome to Holden Beach." I mean, it's not like we're saying, hey, don't come to Holden Beach. We're just saying, when you do, keep these things in mind. But we can add that.
we could even add a banner, a hard copy banner, if you will, right there. So we don't have to take
Where?
up on that sign,
On the top of the sign or not?
or, you know, bottom of the sign. We own that sign, right?
You talking about the orange mobile
Yeah.
sign?
Yeah.
No, 'cause I think the concern was you can only read so many
Exactly,
flashes,
exactly.
and we're not, you know, we could just, you know, welcome to Holden Beach as part of that.
Yeah, I mean, and since it's been up there, I've thought of a whole lot of other things we could, we could put there too. But I don't think folk would be able to get through them all before they actually passed it, so. But yeah, I mean, that's another thought.
Yep.
We can do that. And something else on maybe a little bit of a lighter note. On July the 27th at 1:00 in the afternoon, I'm gonna get locked up as part of an MDA fundraiser. They're gonna haul me off to Southport, hold me hostage for an hour at the fire department down there. And if anyone would like to help with my bail, I have a sheet here with me tonight that you could sign up to do that. And if that doesn't work, and you will leave me an email address, I will email you a way to be able to take care of that. They set my bail pretty high. I'm the first one to donate so far. Need some help because 27th, I believe, is next week. So I'm running out of time, and I don't want to stay in jail long, so give a brother a break. Not a good time to be a cop in the USA right now.
Yeah, Chief,
Fortunately, better here than
Yep.
places I've been.
Chief, in case you leave before our comment, can I make a statement?
I don't think I'll be leaving, sir, but
Well, my statement is, in light of everything that's going on across our country and unfortunately overseas, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank our police force for everything they do, and every day when they accept risk to keep us safe on our behalf, I want to say I appreciate that.
well, and on behalf of the police department, we appreciate that. And believe it or not, it's never happened in all the years I've been riding the beach. Today, 2 random strangers flagged me down, walked up, stuck out their hand, thanks for what you do. That was amazing, actually. But, yeah, the folk that come here are good folk too. But I appreciate it. Yes, sir. Any other questions?
No, but I think you get the full board's support in the same regard, Chief. When an officer straps on a weapon, no matter where it is, they always recognize they're in danger. And we know that, we appreciate what they do for us, and they know they have our support.
Well, like I said, and I appreciate that. And, you know, the sad part of the way things are going at this point is when you put on a uniform and you get in a marked vehicle, it doesn't matter where you're at.
You're a target.
You're a target. I mean, that's just what we've come to at this point. And hopefully that'll change sooner rather than later. I don't leave home without my Glock.
Thank you. Number 9, Mr. Hewitt.
Yes, sir, the board has a memo in front of them. It's the staff's recommendation that we eliminate the bulk recycling out here next to the water tower, between the water tower and the park restroom. Our existing bulk recycling service is just not working as intended and has become extensively problematic as a effective means of solid waste disposal. It's the only place that we have that's centrally located that can accommodate the roll-off containers. They're available 24/7. They're not manned, so they're available for anything and everything, which is being taken advantage of by non-resident visitors and contractors alike. That is my opinion, and is predicated on personally observing over the last couple of weeks. We've got non-compliant items that take up the normal space for recycling, that scatters the trash throughout the park, but it also puts a surcharge premium on the dump fee for the recycling, and it costs us in excess of about $70,000 this past fiscal year, not counting the additional tipping fees for the non-recyclables, the construction debris, and the town manpower and equipment involved in cleaning up the site. There's a couple of alternative services available. Brunswick County has a manned facility over at Oxpen. It's 5 minutes away. It's open 4 days a week, 8 to 6. Curbside recycling is available on a subscription service for everyone that wishes to participate at a charge of $54 for a pickup every 2 weeks. And in closing, the contract with Waste Industries will be renegotiated this winter. And in addition to those regular trash services, we can include some provisions for more individualized recycling. We can attempt to fine-tune that recycling contract with them. And what they've preemptively indicated to us, without formally quoting, is about $90 to provide weekly pickup during the peak season or curbside service. I don't know, I'm unsure as to whether or not that will accommodate our rental properties. They have some special logistical considerations for recycling. Not so sure that even that will work for them. Anyway, what we're recommending is that we terminate the bulk container recycling after Labor Day. And that's primarily, I don't want to do anything radical to the service during the height of tourist season. And it's also predicated on the fact that the rental companies have probably got information in their packages that they send out that talks about recycling is available up here. So that will allow us, we've got, 6-7 weeks between now and Labor Day, and that'll allow us some time to coordinate with them and also to advise the public at large, because there will be some folks that could be affected by this. But that's our recommendation.
Move approval of the recommendation to eliminate bulk recycling.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I have a question. Are these alternative services stated on our town website? Or if not, can they?
I believe they are, but we will.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be part of rolling into the elimination of the service. We don't want to leave folks high and dry without an alternative, but yes.
And also a question regarding this preemptive indication that they could provide weekly pickup for an estimated annual charge of $90. You will come back. Is that something we will get?
Y'all are gonna have to
Discuss
address that whole contract.
All right.
Right. We talked about that earlier.
Right.
Good.
Any more discussion? Ready to vote?
Yep.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Unanimous. Number 10, beach patrol evaluation. Chief Lane.
Wish I had good news this time, but it is what it is. All right. Well, based on what we were asked to do, I think I did. I've gotten with all the folks that we compete with, from north to Oak Island, south to Sunset Beach. Oak Island does exactly the same thing we do. They use full-time officers on overtime to do their beach patrol. They have an ambassador program that I know nothing about, but Ms. Schiavone is going to address that when her turn comes. Not sure what they do, how often they do it, or any of that stuff, but police are out there every day on overtime. Sunset Beach started last year using their fire department as beach patrol. But they have a paid fire department by the town, not a contracted fire department. I have talked to Chief Todd about any sort of possibilities concerning that ever occurring. And he's assured me that if at all possible, it never would on his watch. So that's the best I got with that. Their fire department's not.
Did he indicate why he had that strong opinion?
Well, fire department aren't paid, they're not police officers. They don't carry guns, and he doesn't want his people out there,
Oh, those are fire department people.
trying to enforce ordinances and that sort of thing without the proper tools, in order to be able to do it. I mean, that was his primary concern. is that
And they're
not
short
trained.
man too. I mean,
And,
they-
and he doesn't have a tremendous amount of manpower. Ocean Isle, on the other hand, has 7 part-time officers. They use 2 a day during the week, 3 a day on the weekends. So Monday through Friday, it's 2 a day. Saturday and Sunday, 3 a day. They pay them $15.34 an hour, and each one is there for a minimum of 8 hours. Best I could cipher, that came out to about $30,776 a year, plus uniforms and equipment. And the chief says their part-time folks are typically folk that just graduated from BLET, never worked in law enforcement before, and the main reason they want to do part-time there is so they can maintain their certification. He doesn't like the way they do it, but I guess that's the way it's always been. And just for a comparison on that regard, I looked at the total amount of overtime we spent last summer, the total amount was $9,212. That included beach patrol, but it also included all other overtime. And I had an officer that was out with an injury all last summer, so somebody had to cover that shift. So what we're paying for beach patrol, I think is fairly minimal. Just my opinion. That's my story.
How much are we paying in overtime for the year?
I think my budget is around 39,000. I don't remember right off the top of my head.
And only 9,000 of it relates to the beach,
Only
that what you
9,000
said?
relates to the summer.
Summer.
to the summer.
Yep.
We budgeted 39. How much did we use the previous year?
We normally use it all.
Do you?
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, boss. Normally it takes it all.
Okay.
But I mean, the last couple of years, I've had officers out with injuries and that sort of thing, which creates a situation where somebody else has to cover. Not to mention, during the off-season, these folks want to take some time off. So there again, somebody else has to step in on their day off to cover that. I mean, overtime's a necessary evil, I think, in a department our size. I don't know what else we could do to correct that.
Any more questions, Chief? Thank you, sir. Ms. Giovanni, Beach Ambassador Program.
Cindy Schiavone, 105 Schooner Drive. I'm Chair of Parks and Rec. I believe you all got a memo in your packets, and Oak Island will be coming to visit us at the October meeting to discuss. They have a beach ambassador program. We first spoke about this June 23rd and asked Oak Island, I believe Peter was there, to come on July 7th, and they couldn't. And also they said it was too late this year to begin this program. The way it sounds like their setup is applications. I don't know if anyone's paid. We don't really have the details on Oak Island. We did have a discussion at the board, and I will say we weren't crazy about the idea. We didn't feel that an interview process, no pay, and a requirement of X amount of hours this summer, where we needed 25 volunteers, was going to fly. So, because also we didn't feel the person would have the authority to tell someone you can't have your dog on the beach, or you have to fill a hole. We didn't feel that the people would have the authority to tell people about the ordinances. You can always recommend, and I think most of us do when we're on the beach, if we see someone doing something strange or digging holes or with their dog, but we all know with no authority, it's rather difficult to tell people anything. So,
To me, that's what that ambassador name sounds like, though. It's just a person who is there
to welcome to
to
the beach.
welcome you and to clarify things if necessary.
Right, but no pay. I mean, we can, they're going to be coming in October,
Okay.
but no pay and no town liability. Our feeling was as a board that we weren't going to have a ton of people step forward. We may be wrong.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to listen, to hear Oak Island, right? How they do it. I think it's a volunteer position. And yeah, I'm sure they went through the same questions before they created their beach ambassador program. So I fully
So that's what
support
we're gonna do,
listening
not
to them.
October,
Yep, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more comments or concerns about TNA or B? Number 11, discussion and possible action on enforcement of the Holden Beach Code. 157.087, Mr.
Yeah,
Fletcher.
on page 18 of our handout here, we have the ordinance 157.087, which requires that every house have a house number on it. And I'm particularly concerned about the beachside houses. There are ordinances that you have one visible from the street and also one visible from the strand. We have an awful lot of cases where that doesn't happen. People don't have house numbers at all. Sometimes numbers of houses in a row don't have a house number. My initial concern was for the fire department or the police going down, do you know where you are? Do you know where the house is? That sort of thing. And my first reaction was, the fire department has these posts that you can put out with a reflective number that would be particularly good along the street. But on the beach side, you got a problem if the first responders are on the beach or the police are on the beach, you're not sure what house you're at, so it's hard to tell somebody where to come to. And you might be 3, 4, 5, 6 houses away from a number. So my recommendation, my thought was, we enforce this ordinance. And I called the town manager, and he said that they have gone around and done inspections and asked people to do it. My suggestion would be that if a household doesn't want to do it voluntarily, that we contract the work out and we do it for them. We put a sign that's visible from the street and one that's visible from the strand. That's just my view on that we do enforce this ordinance, because I think it's an important one for safety purposes.
Do we then turn around and bill the person for the cost?
For that, put it in however we can manage to do that, whether it goes in the water bill or whatever we have to do, that if we can bill them for a charge when they clearly haven't shown any interest in complying with the ordinance. Now, our attorney might be able to tell me whether this is legal or not.
Well, I think the
You have to think
enforcement
about it.
aspect of it is certainly legal. Whether or not that section of the code allows for, whether or not you've got the ability to go ahead and prepare it for somebody to fix something to their property is a whole different scenario. I think that from a starting place, what you would want to do is walk before you run, so identify the houses that are not in compliance with the ordinance, have code enforcement send them a letter informing them that they are not in compliance with the ordinance, and then we can look to see what the remedies are in the event that people do not take action in accordance with the ordinance or the notice.
I'd like to ask Mr. Evans, have you ever heard of a government official going and knocking on the door and nailing signs or numbers or anything on anyone's private property without?
We actually patrol twice a year with numbers, and if we're out in the middle of the county inspection, we also look for those numbers. Whenever we drive down there, and we actually write down whether or not they have a number, and we have a letter that we send out. We have a letter that gives them 15 days to notify us when if they're gonna do something. And I think that letter also has a penalty section, it's in that section, and we send out and tell them that we're gonna give a penalty. I don't know of anyone that we've ever sent a letter to that hasn't placed the numbers on there. What happens is that side, the ocean side, now, every once in a while, we'll get painters, people paint their houses, on a regular basis, and they'll take the numbers down, they don't put them up. And if we see that from the street side, we notify them as well. And most of the time, the rental companies will take care of that immediately because people can't find their houses. Even though they're all numbered, they're not all in sequence. But the ocean side, we definitely, I know that right before I got sick and went to the hospital, we rode down and found at least 10 of them. But you gotta remember, it's very weathering on that side. And so what happens is, if the painters don't take them down because they're painting half the houses, and then they don't get put back up. But the way the ordinance is written, we have a lot of those numbers that you don't think are there, and we send them letters, and they tell us to come take a look, and they are there. There's some that are on posts out near the water, there's some that are on decks that are beyond the house, and you have to look for them. The one thing they're not uniform, you know what I mean? They should be contrasting and that kind of stuff, but a lot of them don't become uniform. But we do monitor that. That is not something we don't monitor. We typically, if there's a renovation or something, we make sure that they're still there. We actually have a policy that addresses that. And if you're gonna go that far, I hate to add to the problem, the canals need one on the canal side. That's where we have the biggest problems at, is trying to enforce from the canal side on the canals. Because if you're trying to do any kind of enforcement in there for bulkheads, or falling down docks, or disrepair stuff, you know, if we're actually doing a survey from that side, there's no way to tell what address we're at. So if you're having a rescue in a canal, unless you've got someone on the street telling you where you're at, you don't know where you're at in the canal. So the canals are a concern, which is not addressed in there. But we've not had, I don't know of anywhere that there is an ordinance written that would allow you to go in and do repairs. I don't even know how you would go about that.
But you say we have a penalty with the letter?
It's like $25.
And do we charge them with that?
Yeah, there's a penalty section that goes with that, and what we do is we've never had anyone that didn't put up the numbers. I don't know of anyone that has never put the numbers back up once we notify them. And we do go back and check, because it shows back up, or it used to show back up, I'm sure it still does. I haven't been around for a while, but you know, when we put it in the system, when we give them 30 days, then it gets assigned a number, and it's in the program, and they just put in there 30 days to check. And what happens is it pops back out on the schedule 30 days from now. So we know to go back and relook. That's always been the policy.
So you have a regular program that you do this every once in a while?
We did, I don't know if it's something that's going on now, but if we drive from the beach, and I haven't been on the beach this summer, but if we go from one place to another on the beach, we're constantly looking for those numbers. If we're doing an inspection, then we're looking for those numbers on the front and the rear. Because, and one of the things that's a real trigger is when they redo their walkways, and that's what I'm trying to tell you, or any kind of deck on the back of that kind, because most of these things aren't attached to the house. They've actually put them on the decks or the walkways, because that's a long way to see what that address is. So we're constantly checking to make sure they put those back. And so, that's not something that we're not paying attention to, is what I'm trying to say. But the one thing I have noticed since I've been here is that side of the homes take a lot of weathering, they take a lot of repairs, and so that if someone don't get a permit, or if they're doing something that don't require a permit, they take those things off, then unless we're driving down the beach, we don't catch it.
I'd just like to add that this has been an ongoing program for years. I don't remember what year it was passed officially, but I do know that it's been years and years that we've been implementing this thing and following up. I would also say that there are many violations out there right now. As you ride by the beach strand and look, but on closer look, like he's saying, there's not as many as you may think.
I remember the last time that we went, which was sometime in April, I was like, well, that house there don't have numbers. Because I kind of keep it on her, and she said, yes, it does, it's right there. She's got some of them memorized, where they're at, the weird locations, but if a bush grows up, it may be from.
Or if the profile of the strand changes,
That's right, you
it
can't see it.
decreases the angle
If
of
we get an escarpment
visibility.
that takes out a bunch of those long walkways, odds are it's took out those numbers.
In Holden Beach West, a lot of people have 4x4 posts with the numbers.
Is it possible to give them the option that we'd put it in for them if they pay for it? Is it possible to get them, when you send that letter, that if they don't want to do it, or we will put a standard one in for them? They pay for it, but we put it in for them?
You would need to amend the ordinance, but it doesn't sound like that's something the town would need to undertake. I mean, there is a code, they're monitoring now, they're sending letters and they're getting a response from property owners. It doesn't seem, based on what the building inspector said, it doesn't seem to be, an unmanaged problem. But
Yeah,
I certainly can look into it if the board would like to do.
we may need to take a pass from one end to
I think
the other.
I would do that. I'm on the Turtle Patrol, and we're going up and down, and we don't have any idea where we're for house after house after house.
And like I said, what happens is, if the house is white and the letters are black, I can't tell you how many times this happened, and someone repaints the back of the house, the painters, might have had a bad night the night before, and now the numbers are white.
But the ordinance requires you to have them in contrasting colors.
That's right, they're
Right.
supposed to be in contrast, and they're supposed to stand out, but what I'm telling you is that if a guy puts up black letters on a house or on a brand-new set of steps, 2 years from now, when it's weathered out completely gray, and they weathered out completely gray, you don't see them. So we're constantly looking for them. We know, I'm just saying, and we may need to make a pass, but the notice of violations work.
When you make the next pass, can you let the board know the results of that
I sure will.
pass?
And
And we'll make sure the police are happy and,
We'll do that soon. I haven't broken the Jeep out all year.
Can I make a suggestion that we give this ordinance to P and Z to look at putting something in here that says people that have houses on the canals have to have numbers on the backside of the house? 'Cause that's not in here, and we need to get that added. So
Can do
that'd
that.
have to be something to go to P and Z to have it
I
added.
can do that.
Okay.
Does that require a motion for us to give the P and Z an assignment? You want to make that as a motion?
Okay, I make a motion that we give this to P and Z to look at adding a section in here to require canal homes to have numbers on the backside of the homes.
I second that motion. Yep, already done.
In the discussion,
Yes, I noticed that this ordinance requires 6-inch minimum height letters or numbers, which, to my knowledge, is bigger than the typical house numbers that we put on our houses currently everywhere else. So if we're gonna add something to this, there's gonna be a conflict unless you're gonna require canal homeowners to have a 6-inch letter, which to me, well, if we require them to have 6-inch letters in the back of their house. I'm assuming this motion is directing the P and Z to come back to us and propose an ordinance revision. Okay, at that time, I will render my opinion. Because right now, I don't particularly see the need, but I have no other questions.
any more discussion? You ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No,
One no vote, Madam Clerk. Okay. Number 12, discussion of possible nomination of members to upcoming vacancies on town boards. 12A is planning and zoning. I don't know how you wanna do these. You wanna do them one at a time, or you wanna do collectively, or what's your pleasure?
Sure, I think we can probably, with the boards, vote in total to take all of the existing board members whose times are up that desire to be reelected, and I think it's all of them.
You wanna
we
just
would
make a motion?
I can make a motion that we approve all of the existing board members whose times are expired and are eligible for reelection, that we reelect them now.
Everybody understand the motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion?
did I hear that all the sitting board members have indicated they want to be
Yes.
reelected?
Yes.
We've confirmed that for all these?
It's in the
Yes.
memo.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Doesn't quite say that in the memo. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Unanimous, Madam Clerk.
I make an additional motion, Mr. Mayor, that we assign Tiffany Hobbs to the vacant position on the Board of Planning and Adjustment from her current alternate position. We have a vacancy on the Planning and Zoning Board.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Yeah.
Second,
She's eligible to be reelected, but also to be appointed to the board member vacant seat that we have on the Planning and Zoning Board.
I thought
she
you said
was there
something
once
about Board of Adjustment.
She was there once
No.
before, no, she's on Planning and Zoning. She was appointed first, moved down, and now there's a vacancy, and I move that we move her back up to the full
And
position.
that's your motion.
Yes.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion?
Has she indicated her desire to move into that position?
Yes.
Okay.
My only concern is she was on the board at one time and couldn't make meetings and had to be removed. Is that gonna be a problem? Is she gonna be able to make the meetings and show up as required? Because she couldn't do it before, so I don't know what's changed, if something's changed to allow her to do that.
I don't know how we could make that assessment here.
Well, we'd have to talk to her and find out.
She resigned the last time because she was having, yeah, she was having, I believe, childcare issues, but she has been serving as an alternate, and she has expressed her willingness to serve on the board, so that's the only input I can give you. I haven't heard from P and Z that there has been any attendance issues, but I'm not sure.
Still have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, are you ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Congratulations to Tiffany, and we're now going to number 13, is that correct?
But before we move forward, Mr. Mayor, do I need to say anything about that we would like to hear the nominations for any other vacancies at the next meeting? We have some people who are eligible for some vacancies. Do we have to make a motion to have them make their presentations at before the next meeting?
Well, that would be on the, help me out here, Madam Clerk.
If the board just comes to a consensus, I could schedule the interviews for 6:45, because we have a public hearing at 7, so we could just do 6:45, and then the item could actually, to vote on it, could be at the actual meeting.
Does that seem reasonable?
I saw a memo somewhere that all or majority of these people have already been before the board.
Correct, there's only one who actually has not.
So do we need to hear them again?
You typically do not do that. The only one I would have a question with would be Mr. Marowitz, because he actually wasn't interviewed by this current board. He just served prior to you guys, so he would be, the other three had interviewed with this particular board.
Mr. Morris has years of service in that position, right?
Right.
So the question is down, do you want to interview Mr. Morowitz at 6:45 next month's regular meeting in this room?
And
And Greg Shue would
Mr.
be
Shue.
on there.
Mr. Shue.
And Mr. Shue. Is that
Makes
the
sense.
consensus of the board?
yes.
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 All right, would you notify those two
Yes, sir.
and encourage them to be here, please? 6:45. Anything else, Mr. Flash?
No, sir.
Town manager's report.
Yes, sir, my report tonight is verbal. Just in case anyone was wondering or thinking aloud that there were a lot of people here over the 4th of July weekend, I'll put it this way. Normally on the 4th of July, we push through about 1 million gallons of water a day, and then it falls off to about 800,000, 700,000 gallons in the 10 days or so after the 4th of July. This year, we were above 1 million gallons for 6 straight days on July the 4th. And I don't believe that was water loss. There's just a lot of people here. Along those lines, based on the number of houses that we've had constructed this year and the metric on our consumption of the past year, we've actually, the Department of Environmental Quality, they calibrate they estimate our population based on our water consumption and the size of our water system. And that population is approaching almost 6,300 people. Now that's different than what the state demographer has or the Census Department, Census Bureau, which is for state shared revenues. This estimates an annualized number of about 6,300. So that's kind of the number that I use on gauging town services. It's a pretend number, but 6,300 is where we're at. Based on that, we've just been advised we're going to have to start taking some more sample sizes. Our sample size for water samples is going to have to increase. more frequency.
The
each-
size of the sample or
The number,
The
I'm sorry,
number.
the number, not the volume, but the per times that we're gonna have to do it. Along the lines of the water consumption, did anybody notice that the water pressure, had a little problem maybe taking a shower about 6 o'clock on the 7th of July, by any chance? Good. That's good. We had a pretty close call. Lightning strike took out some SCADA equipment from the county. A couple of water pumps didn't turn on, and we became aware of it when our water pressure and up county some manually had some phone calls come in and said the water pressure's dropping. We were down to about 20 pounds per square inch on water pressure. That's not good during a holiday week. We managed to get it. The county turned the pumps on manually. That stuff is set up to go up and down based on demand, but it was a close call there. Of course, you know, probably somebody in the shower at about 6 o'clock getting ready to go out with shampoo in their hair. Reminds me of the days when we had a well out in the field, and it never failed to go out unless it was 6 o'clock on a hot date night, and it was either 10 degrees or 110 degrees, you know, but anyway. We are going to be having our CRS rating reevaluated here in about 2 months. The community rating system, that has a whole range of issues that it affects, fire department ratings. There's a number of aspects to that financially that it impacts the citizenry here. We will be compiling data over the next couple months, getting it to the Department of Crime Control and Public Safety, so that hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of some of our open space that we've acquired in the near recent, not too far back past, that'll give us some credit there and lower that rating. Is it lower is better on CRS or higher? If I got it backwards. Lower is better, yeah.
And we did very well the last assessment, did
That was the
Oh, I remember.
fire department rating, and this is a piece of that. This,
The CRS rating covers your insurance rates.
yeah.
Flood insurance.
Have you got an update for us by any chance on flood maps?
I got came from John Gerber, and it's basically the same as what we did.
Yeah.
They're not looking for anything prior to January.
Okay.
it? Did I hear that the January would be officially approved, but wouldn't be implemented until June? That was the last I read.
Yeah, it's a drawn out dynamic thing, but hopefully that's not the way it'll go down. The way it'll go down is they'll approve it, we'll get a letter of final determination, and we'll be ready for it. So we'll adopt the maps and be done. So you can adopt the maps once it's approved, once you get a letter of final determination. And that is what they're looking at. The maps won't come out until they get a letter of final determination. So it works together. But the last time we did this, it took a while. They started redoing the maps during Hurricane Floyd, and we got them to that, so.
Wow. And on that note, update on the Central Reach project. Bid opening was held earlier this month in July. We only had one bid that came in at $16.75 million. That does not meet the statutory bid thresholds, and we have rebid that in an attempt to gain a qualifying bid, and those bids will be opened here. Bids will be opened here 18 August at 2 o'clock.
Is that going, well, two questions. Do we understand why there was only one bid for a $15+ million project? You can say no, I was just puzzled.
I wish I did know.
Okay.
I wish I did know.
And secondly, by going to August now for another bid. Is that gonna impact us being ready to start, in November, right?
We're still okay with that.
Okay.
What happens if we still get just one bid?
Depending on what that bid is, if it's within, the board will have to make an award of the contract, irregardless of what the bid is. If it's above your, budgeted amount, you know, you'll have to make the decision on, you know, finding some fairy dust and more money, or truncating the project to live within the means of the project ordinance, or belaying the project, until a more favorable bid climate comes forth.
But there, so the provision is, the second time, it's acceptable to have one bid? Is that-
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Hewitt?
Question. You reported last meeting that we received $115,000 from Southport for excess sewer capacity.
It was the second payment of 57,000, the annual total was 115, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Was the, did
and
your,
it came from Brunswick County, yeah.
okay, I was just reading from the minutes.
Okay.
Was that factored into your budget proposal, or is that now
We were-
a
we
net
were- we were
plus for us?
We were specifically advised not to include that as a budgeted amount because as a budgeted revenue, because of the unknowns of that sewer arrangement with Southport and Brunswick County.
Okay, so that currently then is excess revenue based on the budget we approved, is that correct?
That money was actually in last year's budget. It was run through the register in the 15-16 budget.
So it was budgeted,
No, we did not budget. It was, we only rang it through, we accepted the funds as miscellaneous revenue. It was not budgeted.
okay? How about this, how about the 70,000 we're gonna save on the curbside recycling? Was that in the proposed budget for
Yes.
fiscal year 16?
That was a budgeted expense.
So are you going to reduce your line items accordingly, or is that gonna go somewhere else?
It won't go anyplace else until we see the results of renegotiation on the
Yeah.
solid waste contract.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Mr. Hewitt, you got anything else?
No, sir, I'm done.
Any more questions from the commissioners? Comments? Okay, next thing is the mayor's comments. Briefly, the next month's meeting, I'm gonna try to, get the Holden Beach Chapel parking issue on the agenda. I hope you'll support that possibility. I was encouraged today especially to see so many people working on the north side of the bridge approach, pulling the weeds, and you can start to see a flower here and there again. Thank you, NCDOT or whoever's responsible for that. I hope that it will be gorgeous sometime soon. Also, comments, a lot of comments in regards to our Sunday afternoon bands, all very positive. Had people from the other surrounding islands that are actually starting to come here and make comments about that we are the best providers of entertainment on the weekends of all the islands around. On a more serious note, the hurricane, the quote emergency team issue, we haven't had a recent meeting, and you probably have reason to be concerned as to why we have not. We have an insurance problem in the fact that the volunteers through the years have the right to have assumed that they were covered by insurance as they were out notifying the general public, our property owners, of the upcoming potential danger, running up and down wet steps and blowing rain and wind and driving their automobiles, parking on the shoulder of the road with their flashes flashers flashing and all those kinds of things. And, Madam Attorney, if you will help me out here if I get off track, but the concern is we're gonna have to have a clear understanding with anyone that's involved in this program if we do go forth with continuing the program as it is, or we're gonna have to do something. We either got to have insurance coverage, or we're gonna have to reshape our program. That's being discussed. Mr. Hewitt and I have spent time discussing it. The attorney has done some work on the background of that in regards to not, okay, let me finish. In regards to other voluntary programs such as beach patrols and so forth. That's not true?
Not correct, but I'm happy to do so.
We've been speaking with the League of Municipalities.
Pardon me?
We've been speaking with the League of
Oh,
Municipalities.
I thought it was her.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
it's
the
the
league.
league's attorneys. Okay, I'm sorry, ma'am. There's so many attorneys out there, I just got one wrong. But the point is that we are seeking protection for the town before we go forward, and that's the reason we haven't done anything yet. But I promise you that if we do have an emergency situation coming up, almost like we had tonight, we will make sure that the citizenry and the properties are protected and cared for.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Mayor? Would one option for that evacuation team be that we sign some waiver of liability for the town?
Well,
Assume our own responsibility?
That's one of the things that will eventually get to our attorney to consider, because
Okay.
we have had this issue raised, and whatever we do will be blessed through our town attorney and you commissioners. So that needs to be addressed in the next 3 weeks, so we can come to August and make a reasonable, educated decision. And I know you don't have much to do right now for us. But do what you can to help us out.
Yes, sir.
Lead us to the green pastures on that one. All right, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
I was just reminded, the July 3rd concert date, we had a fire here, and we had a fire on the island, and it reminded me to go back and check my fire extinguishers, because, I have rental property right beside me, and when I was speaking to my friend whose house was right beside that house, he came very close to having to provide his own assistance until our wonderful fire department showed up en masse. So I was thankful that nothing worse happened, but I was reminded of the extreme risk we assume by living so close to each other. And I would just urge us all to make sure we have operable smoke alarms and a sufficient number of fire extinguishers. And what I did is I added another one in the event I needed to assist my neighbor. That's all I have.
Mr. Freer.
I'd like to thank the chief for that homework, for very informative, and Ms. Cervoni for the effort she's putting forward. And I'd also like to comment that our new park is getting rave reviews, and I've learned how to play pickleball, which is interesting. And the bricks are installed, and I hesitate to call them bricks because they're stones, and they're very nice. And a lot of people are asking, when are you going to do this again? But that's a great thing. So we'll get a lot of activity in the new park, and I think the effort that we're going to do to move the recycling is very timely, and we should do that. And I'd also like to thank everybody for attending, and we'll talk about the Oak Island, how they do things, and see what we can learn from them, and see if that's fit for Holden Beach. Thank you.
Ms. Eisenhower.
I think over the past several weeks, it's just been very refreshing to see people here enjoying this wonderful place. and waiting in line to get across the bridge on Saturday to come over. I mean, I didn't mind waiting in line. It was nice to see everybody here. It was nice to see vacationers excited to show up and enjoy this beautiful place. I will say that, like Chief Lane, I've seen some weird things on Facebook lately, and one that I wanted to address tonight that I've heard and received many calls about. There was a concern that Holden Beach was going to annex part of Supply. We're not. That's not gonna happen. We weren't having secret meetings to do that, so I just wanted to make sure that that was addressed. I think sometimes Facebook can be used for wonderful things and to connect people to Holden Beach, you know, when they're away from us all year long, and then sometimes it gets a little silly, but it was very nice over the past couple of weeks to see people here and enjoying this place.
So, excuse me, Kim, the originator of that Facebook, apparently came to the town and was corrected and put another
Did you
Facebook
rescind it?
saying that
Okay, great.
that was, yes, not the
Pulled off.
case.
Yeah.
Right.
The traffic was backed up to the fishing pier, trying to leave the island, and Penny Ludlam's vegetable stand, trying to get to the island. So a lot of people were
That was great.
involved to hold the beach. It's Fletcher.
Yeah, I have two items I want to comment before we go. One is on exactly what we have here in this family beach that we're a part of. I'm blessed to be able to work with the Turtle Patrol 4 or 5 months out of the year. And I've made it a point for the last 2 or 3 years to interview as many people as possible about why they come to Holden Beach. And it's the quiet family beach environment that attracts almost everybody I interview. And night before last, I had the fun one. A lady came up and she said, I don't know if you realize you missed us last year. She said, we've been coming 35 years, but last year we decided to go to Myrtle Beach and take the kids. And the grandkids went with them. They're 8 and 9 years old. And she said, at the end of the first day, I looked at our boys and their faces were kind of blah. And she said, what's wrong? And they said, well, when are we going to go back to our beach? And Holden Beach is their beach. So, and I've this last couple of weeks listened to people screaming on the beach like, if we're here, it's finally here. We get this week at the beach. So we have an awful lot of people that enjoy the beach. It's a great time for them. It's a week of celebration. And I think everything we can do to make that happen for them is a plus. The other issue I have is if you are on the beach, if you're on the Strand in the Central Reach Project region, or if you know somebody who is, ask them to please sign that easement agreement as quickly as possible and get it in. We need that. We've worked it. It's been improved. It's a solid agreement. We need it for the beach, and we need it in order to do the Central Reach project to get it financed. So if you know anybody that's holding it back, ask them to please get it signed, get it certified, and get it in. We need it as quickly as possible. Thanks.
Mr. Kaiser?
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. For a while, it looked like the crowd was going to be one person, Tony, because he was here early before the rain started, because it was pouring down rain out there. So I have to commend everybody who came with all that rain going on. You're very dedicated people, and we're glad to see you. Trust me, we like seeing everybody here. I want to say that the response to the tie-dye program continues to be very large. I'm not sure how many shirts we sold today, but I'd say it was probably right around 300. Is that close? 232. 232. And we're doing that every Tuesday. So if you have any grandkids ever come see you and you want something good to do on a Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, come do tie-dye. It's a lot of fun. Everybody has a good time. I want to also say that the park next door looks tremendous. I think it's a great job that's been done out there. The grass looks good, the landscaping is good, the bathroom is in, the courts are out, everything's lit up. And the day doesn't go by that you don't cross that bridge and look down there and see someone playing basketball. It is being used, and used a lot. And I'm really, really happy to see that. I must say that the park looks an awful lot better than the far side of the bridge, although they were working on that far side of the bridge today, so hopefully that's going to improve. And that is it.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. We're now on number 16, public comments on general items. Anyone want to speak about anything that you want to speak about? If you would come to the podium, sir, give us your name and where you reside or own property, and tell us what's on your mind.
My name's Ray Compton. I live at 1317 Ocean Boulevard West. I was late coming to the meeting, but I made sure I made it in spite of the rain. In any case, you were talking about the markers out on the Strand. I remember getting a notice the last time, a very threatening notice saying that I was going to lose my property if I didn't put up the sign. But in any case, the biggest problem I had and with my neighbors was finding out where to put the post. Our beach, our Strand is constantly changing. We have about 3 different tiers of dunes. And so we are set quite a ways. We're 300 yards from the beach where our house is. It would seem to me, plus we don't like to have them zigzag, because I looked out down the Strand and they were zigzagged all over the place. It looked horrible. Different colors, different size, different heights, and different locations. It would be good if the town could indicate where, or develop a line where we could put these posts and the numbers. I'd be willing to follow along with that. But if you start out around 1173 number out to the beach, it gets pretty wide. So, and we really do have a problem knowing where to put it. So that would be helpful. And, well, I did mention my wife wanted me to mention the fact that she'd like to have all the same colors. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else want to speak to any item that may be on your mind? On the agenda, off the agenda, either way. Last call. Thank you for being here, and Madam Clerk, if you will lead us into the executive session.
Executive session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A3 to consult with the attorney employed by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body.
All right, we're gonna go upstairs, Mr. Hewitt.
Yeah, she said up upstairs.
Okay. All right, you're welcome to stay and wait, or you, it's not raining, you might want to run home. We're back in regular session. Appreciate you ladies waiting us out. And we are ready to entertain any motions to adjourn or to do business.
Mr. Mayor, I would move for calling a special meeting on August 1st, time to be determined during discussion, for the purpose of discussion and possible action on a resolution of the town of Holden Beach authorizing a filing of condemnation actions to acquire easements for the town's Central Reach Shore Protection Project.
I second the motion.
Any discussion? You want to discuss?
Time?
Discuss the time. So,
11 o'clock in the morning. Should be a quick one, I don't know. What, Mr. Mayor, are you
Good anytime.
I can
I
do it.
prefer to do it early or late.
Yeah,
I have no
late.
preference in time.
I mean, whatever you guys.
Later would be
fine.
better.
What time?
Later? Yeah,
Later would be
I have no
better
preference.
that
In the day or in the morning?
Later in the day, I can't
In
do
the
it in
day.
the morning.
Monday, so.
6, 7,
So you can,
6 or 7 in the evening.
yeah.
7 here. I'm
I'm
okay
good
with any
anytime.
time.
I'm okay.
Mr. Mayor, have you set up your schedule?
Whatever you guys want to do.
No, can you do a 7 o'clock at night?
Or 6 is fine.
Yeah, do whatever you guys want to do on that day. Have my grandkids that week. I
They
got
can
to see
come.
'em 2 hours last year, so hoping I'll have some time this year to see 'em.
Ken, you okay with 7 at night?
7's good with me.
So,
August 1st, 7 o'clock.
so I guess we need to entertain an amendment to the motion stated to insert the time.
Sure.
All right,
That would be procedurally correct.
I can't do it myself because I made the motion.
Does,
Okay.
all right, let's
I
leave that.
agree.
Is a consensus of the board that we will have this meeting at 7 o'clock on August 1st?
Yes.
Is that it, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Is there a motion to go home?
So
And
moved.
then we don't have to vote on this?
Oh, we haven't voted on,
Come on, I don't run out of
well,
this.
but I just got the consensus of the board.
That was fine for me, but if
Oh,
you
okay,
wanna
okay, I got you.
He changed it.
Before you
Okay, I got
chastise me, know what you're doing.
I'm not used to consensus.
We're
Yeah,
good.
move to
Is that your,
adjourn.
you don't need the gavel?
Is there a motion to go home?
I wanted to be able to say I voted for it.
Second.
Yes.
It's unanimous. Adjourn the meeting.